Let's start, though, with major developments in England's search for a permanent manager. The captain, Harry Kane, has backed Thomas Tuchel. On the day it's been revealed, the former Bayern Munich head coach is in talks with the FA about replacing Gareth Southgate.
Thomas Tuchel will become the next coach for the Three Lions. What do you think about that?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I haven't been told anything. So, yeah, until it's announced, obviously, I can't really comment. But we have to wait and see. Obviously, I know Thomas well from last year, and fantastic coach, fantastic person. So I'm sure the guys at the FA will contact me when they know more about it.
Our senior reporter, Rob Dorset, right across this story from the beginning. Hence, he's here now. Right, Rob. 2 weeks ago, you and I stood in these exact positions, and we had 4 people up here. We had Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, Jurgen Klopp, and Thomas Tuchel. And you said to me, the FA not spoken to any of these men. Is the fact they're talking to Tuchel a knee-jerk reaction to the Greek oddity last week?
No, I don't think it is. But I think the fact that England lost to Greece and the fact that Lee Carsley, great coach that he is, lovely bloke that he is, has struggled in front of the media in the last week or two. I think those have had an impact on the FA accelerating their plans to appoint a new manager. Thomas Tuchel has always been on the FA's list of potential candidates to succeed Gareth Southgate, as indeed were those other 4. And I couldn't understand why 2 weeks ago the FA had spoken to none of them. And that was the case 2 weeks ago, apart from a very initial inquiry to each of them right at the start when Gareth Southgate was first resigned back in July. There was no further contact. So what's changed? I think the FA bosses have decided that with all the speculation in the media, they can't allow this situation to go on forever and a day. There's no absolute rush to appoint a new England manager. England's World Cup qualifiers don't start till March. But Tuchel is available now. He's out of work. And I think they've decided that he's the man they want. He's a serial winner of trophies, and he allows that experience, that gravitas, that ability in front of the media, which, with all due respect to Lee Carsley, I think he's struggled with in recent times. So I think a lot has changed since you and I stood here 2 weeks ago. The key fact is they've decided they want this man.
A lot has changed in 24 hours, because yesterday we were saying they wanted Pep Guardiola, whose picture was there. What's changed there?
Well, look, Pep Guardiola, I think, is the dream ticket as far as a lot of bosses at the FA are concerned. He is the best manager of his generation. They know that. We all know that. And they did make an initial approach to Pep Guardiola back in July, again, in those first few days after Gareth Southgate resigned, just to sound him out, see where he was. And my information is that there was never really a positive reaction from the Guardiola camp to that inquiry. The FA were given no reason to think that Pep Guardiola might be keen on becoming the next England manager. And let's not forget, he's the Manchester City manager, where he's had unprecedented success and where he's still under contract, and who knows, he may well extend that contract. So the FA, I think, backed away from it and thought, yeah, he might be the dream ticket, but what's the reality, the realistic chances of getting him? And I think, in truth, they were pretty slim. So I think there was a little bit exaggerated in the media about the approach from the FA to Pep Guardiola and how realistic was that he was going to take the job. I think this is much more realistic, and England are now in advanced negotiations with Thomas Tuchel. And let's put into perspective what a big story this is, Mike. Only twice before in the history of the England men's football team have there been non-English managers of the England men's football team. Sven-Göran Eriksson and Fabio Capello. On top of that, Thomas Tuchel is German. And we know about the rivalry between England and Germany going back for many, many decades. So it will be a controversial appointment if they get this one over the line. But we ought to stress it isn't a done deal yet. There's still a lot to discuss. But those discussions are going on at a very high level as we speak right now.
Why Tuchel?
OK, so I think we need to give a bit of context to this, because I've stood here and, again, spoken to you since Southgate left and said I think there's 2 different schools of thought within the FA. The chief executive, Mark Bullingham, I think wanted a homegrown coach to show the pathway of excellence, of how the FA is very good at creating good English coaches that have come through the system. That would have been the ideal candidate. And I think that's why, maybe even up until a month ago, maybe last international break, they were keen on trying to promote Lee Carsley if they possibly could. The sense I got around the camp was it's Lee Carsley's job to lose, right? But the reality is things haven't gone well for Lee Carsley on the pitch. That defeat to Greece 2-1, which could have been much, much heavier. Very ambitious and experimental formation that he tried with so many attacking players. And they've realised, I think, the FA, that it needs somebody with gravitas to take on the England role who can cope with the unique, difficult questions that you are asked from the media if you are the England manager. And I think they believe Thomas Tuchel has the character to do that. Remember, he dealt very effectively with the situation at Chelsea when the owner Roman Abramovich was sanctioned by the English government while the war with Russia and Ukraine was going on, and he handled that very, very effectively. I think the FA would have been impressed by that. How he handles himself in front of the media is one. But I think also John McDermott, the FA's technical director, knows he will be judged on whether, during his tenure, whether the men's senior football team win a major trophy. They needed somebody with a history who's won trophies. Thomas Tuchel has done that. He's a serial winner. He's done it at Paris Saint-Germain. He's done it at Bayern Munich. He's done it at Chelsea. The FA clearly believe that he can do that again with England going forward. That's why they've decided he's the one that they want. He has a particularly good record in knockout cup competitions, which is absolutely key for England in the business end of tournaments as well. So I think they've gone, right, John McDermott said, I want a winner. This guy is a winner. He's available. We can get him. Let's start negotiating right now.
But Rob, there's a big but here, a big but. Gareth Southgate was an FA man. Is Thomas Tuchel?
Well, that's a very key question, and that has surprised me a little bit. And I think that's the biggest question that the FA bosses will have, because I've just mentioned there how good Tuchel is in talking to the media, but he won't have the same inherent understanding of English football and the pathway from the under-21s and youth teams that Lee Carsley had, for example, or that his predecessor, potentially his predecessor, Gareth Southgate had, who believed in the pathway, who brought young English talent through, who understands the FA and the message and believes in the governing body and all that it tries to do with English sport. So I think that's a key question. But look, sources close to Tuchel have spoken to us in the last half an hour or so, and this is hot off the press. So let me give you a perspective of why the Tuchel camp, if you like, think he's perfect for the job. They've told us there was a very strong approach from the FA to them, saying that they're very keen for Thomas Tuchel to take this role. But they've outlined exactly what they think he brings to the role. Obviously, winning decisive games, winning trophies is absolutely at the top of that. But they've also stressed how he's worked with and improved young players wherever he's been, and how much he likes high-octane attacking brand of football, which again is something that John McDermott wants. So I think that's why he fits the bill. I think he is a feisty character. You know, he's not scared of an argument with his bosses or with members of the media. So it'll be entertaining from a media perspective and a fan's perspective if he does get the England manager's job. And that may be tricky for the FA to handle. I don't think he is an FA man. Will he develop into an FA man if he's given the job and as the months and years go on? I think that's what the FA bosses hope he will be. All
right, you said earlier it's not a done deal yet, but they are talking. So what are the obstacles that have to be jumped before it happens?
It's not straightforward. I mean, look, my understanding is that his contract with Bayern Munich was due to expire on the 30th of June 2025, next year. And he was put on gardening leave by Bayern Munich. So technically it's possible, and we don't know the legal details here, possible that he's still under contract with Bayern Munich. But I've also been told by our colleagues out in Sky Germany that there's a gentleman's agreement between Bayern Munich and Tuchel that when somebody comes in for him, they'll stop paying him any money that's still coming his way and he's free to leave on a free transfer. So I think the FA believe they haven't got to pay any compensation to get Tuchel into the England manager's role. But that's the first thing they'll have to check with the lawyers that they've got to be certain about. The second one is about his salary. Let me put this into context for you. When he was at Bayern Munich, I think he was on €9 million a year, plus bonuses for all of those trophies that he won. The truth is, that's about double what Gareth Southgate was being paid at the very end of his tenure as England manager, between £4 and £4.5 million, we think it was, for Gareth Southgate. So Thomas Tuchel will have to take a 50% pay cut if he's going to take the England job.
How will he manage on £4.5 million, Rob?
Look, but be realistic. He's one of the hottest managers in European club football. He knows he could probably get €9 million elsewhere. So, yes, you're quite right. That's a beautiful salary. But you don't take the England manager's job for the money. And so my understanding is Tuchel and his people have accepted that it's a prestigious job. It's one of the biggest jobs in world football. It's the highest profile job in English football. It's something that Tuchel, I think, is keen to take on, and the FA are keen to give to him that opportunity. But, I just say a but in the background. Can they agree on salary? Can England get him out of any potential contract legal issues with Bayern Munich? That's what they'll be exploring right now. But timescales, Mike, this could happen quite quickly now. If there's agreement on both sides, either could walk away, either party at any time. But if there's agreement on both sides, it could happen pretty quickly, this one. He's out of work, he's available. He could well be the next England manager in time for the two Nations League games that happen next month.
And if it does happen, Rob Dorsett, our senior reporter, will be first with the news. Rob, brilliant. Thank you very much.